Thank you for tuning in to Dropping Gems with your girl K-Laine. Today I have a wonderful guest. She's super spectacular. She's exciting. I love her so much. She's amazing. Her name is Sherry Lash from Bottom Line Screening. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you on this sunny, beautiful day?
Oh, amazing. I mean, the sun's shining. It makes everybody happy, doesn't it?
I know. It put a smile on my face this morning. That's for sure. To see the sun out.
Yeah, especially seems like it's I think it's like over 40 today now, so
Wow.
yeah, we're starting to heat up. So I'm starting to get excited.
You're right. No coat. No coat.
For sure. A friend of mine yesterday was wearing sandals already, and I'm like, that's a little bit too overboard for me.
That's extreme.
Yeah,
that is extreme.
I was like, you do you and I'll do me.
Right, that's extreme.
I'm like, girl, what are you doing wearing sandals right now? And it was 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I mean, the sun was going down at that point in time, and
So
she walks around barefoot half the time anyway. So, but yeah. So anyway, sun's shining. I'm doing fabulous today.
That's good. So, Bottom Line Screening, tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, bottom line screening. So we help employers find the right candidates by providing background checks, drug testing, and aptitude testing services.
Wow.
We also bring that a little bit further and help tenants find candidates for rentals as well. The background checks, we can help any industry. They stem from your basic county and criminal checks to executive levels to Department of Transportation. So any amount of level of background checks, we have that covered for you. Drug testing services, we offer on-site drug testing. A lot of companies are going to instant drug testing, so they buy them in bulk, and they do them in-house, which saves on the cost of lab costs. It saves on the cost of where's the employee going to stop on the way, and if they're going to alter a test, so it just cuts out those things with the instant test. And then the aptitude testing services. So, it's personality. See, there's 120 different categories. So you see how the job's going to fit the person. Their intelligence level, there's math skills, all that kind of jazz in there. So yeah, that's what I do.
Wow, that's a plethora of things that you guys do. So what made you want to get into this business? Like, what inspired you to get into this business?
I've been in the customer service industry since 94.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I've worked in a different array of companies, and I've seen firsthand what bad hires can do as far as revenue loss, employee what's the word I'm looking for, like employee interactions and communications.
Yeah,
I've seen stealing firsthand on the last company I just worked for before I decided to do business with myself. So I just got to sitting there thinking, you always want to better yourself, and I was at a job at that time, loved it, loved the people that were there, but there comes a time in your life where you're like, is this what it's going to be? Is this what I want it to be? Yeah. Is this where I want to go? At that time I'm going on 40, and I'm like, okay, well, do you want to sit behind four walls for the rest of your time, or do you want to make a bigger difference? And I wanted to make a bigger difference. So I'm, brainstorming for like 6 or 8 months, like, how am I going to make a difference? What do I want to do? What do I do? And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'll get into background checks.
Just maybe, something I know.
Why not? Yeah, I start researching it, and I see how many companies do background checks, and I see the increased rate coming per year for background checks. And it took me about 8 months to finally make the leap. It was scary, when you become an entrepreneur, it's scary.
Yes, very scary all the time. And just that leap actually propels you to move forward in your thoughts about it, and builds faith. So I know about the leap. I know about the leap. So
Yeah.
that's awesome that you were able to do that.
Yeah, and I'm driving my husband crazy, like, should I do this? Should I not do this? He's like, I don't know, but you need to do something because you're driving me up a wall. And, thankfully I had his support. He's my number one support system, because without him, I wouldn't have been able to transition into a different industry, let alone doing it on my own. I still had kids at home, well, they're in their teenage years, so they're really demanding with money wise, so without him, they rape you with money,
Uh-huh.
So without him, I really wouldn't have been able to take that leap and and decide to do something on my own, such as background checks. So I had to make the decision. Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm excited for your business. Like it's gonna grow. So during COVID, how did that affect your business? With people being laid off and people, working remotely, how did that affect your business?
Oh, geez. Well, it was a trickle effect, just like everything else. When companies started shutting down, obviously they're not hiring, so they don't need my services, and the same thing with the tenants.
Right.
I mean, we're still dealing with it. So when COVID hit, everything started shutting down, and so did courthouses. And so companies had tons of background checks sitting there waiting to be completed. And for the hire that they already had, especially on executive levels. So, it was a trickle effect, it hit hard, it hit hard. A lot bigger companies than me, I'm a smaller company, but
Absolutely.
It affected us as well too. People, industry or companies in the background screening industry had to do slow down, had to do cuts as well. So it just, we just try to make companies understand that you still want to perform these background checks. Just everybody had to shift, and it was a different shift for everybody. And it was a learning experience for employers. It was a learning experience for the courts. It was a learning experience for us on how we're shifting. And we're still shifting. I mean,
Absolutely.
right now, there's still 10 states that still have counties closed.
Yes. Yep. That's absolutely correct.
Michigan, for one, I haven't looked in about a week, but Allegan County was still completely closed. There's still a lot of shortage. Yeah, there's still a lot of shortages. There's still a lot of closures. And, we're kind of starting to get out of COVID, and the background screenings are starting to pick up. But now we're waiting on but now we're waiting on the courthouses still. And it's detoured employers okay, I'm just not going to do the background check. No, you still need to do the background check. Yes, it's going to take a while, and you make it contingent on your job offer that, hey, we understand we're going to take you in right now, but if something comes back on that background check that is against our policies, then we're going to have to let you go at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's been a shift for everybody. It's hit. I think it's hit everybody in some amount of way.
Some amount of way. Yeah.
Some amount of way.
So, in these background checks, what are some of the things that you guys are checking for? Some of your clients are checking for credit score, criminal background. What are some of the main things that employers, property managers are checking for when they come to your company and ask for a background check of someone?
With employers, I like to call it the foundation search. And it's 2 searches. So it would be, we offer a nationwide criminal database search that includes sex offender. So it's compiled of over 130 million records across all the United States. We look at OFAC, we look at your terrorist watch list, all that kind of stuff. And like I said, includes sex offender in 50 states, which is, I think, really important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then the second one that I include in the foundation is it's a 7-year unlimited county search. So it's going to look up information of every county that the applicant has lived in the past 7 years. And that we're looking for a criminal county. We only report felonies because we abide by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So there's rules and regulations for protecting consumer reporting agencies such as myself and the applicants. So the 7-year limited county check basically goes back 7 years for criminal convictions. And then a lot of companies that are doing, if they're driving, say I have quite a few cleaning companies that are driving company vehicles. So they run motor vehicle reports to make sure their driver's license is valid, that kind of thing. And property managers, they do more of they'll do the nationwide criminal check with sex offender, and then they'll add like a nationwide eviction search. So it searches evictions across the courts in the 50 states. And, property managers don't understand too that if you're a property manager and you've had something go wrong with your tenants, like report it to the court.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We don't know. We can't look up and report that information if it doesn't run through the court system.
Correct.
Yeah. So I encourage you, like, if you're having issues, make sure you run it through the court system so that it's reported. So then when they go on to the next person, they have that eviction record, and then tenants, obviously they like to run a credit report. We do a tenant credit report with FICO score. And it used to be a hard hit on your credit, and now it's actually a soft inquiry, so it doesn't affect your credit score, which is really good. But it tells their revolving line of credit, if they've had bad debt anywhere, if they've had charge-offs, that kind of thing. So it gets detailed into that. So that's one of the main searches that employers and property managers run. Now, when you get into executive levels, then you get into professional reference verifications, like education verifications. Yeah. And we do anything in the healthcare industry. So, we can look up licenses and all that fun kind of stuff. So, but yeah. So the main searches are the nationwide criminal search, and the county search is kind of like the foundation. And then I like to call it, and then kind of build there just depending on what the company's looking for.
Special requests. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the effective ways that businesses can conduct background checks?
There's a few basics that I always tell people. So first, you want to develop a policy around your background screenings. So it's always suggested that you consult a legal team and, kind of get a feel for what your policies and where you want to go with that. And then you get with a consumer reporting agency such as myself, and you work with them. They get to feel your needs. We set packages up for you, that kind of thing. And then a big one too is when you're in the hiring process is following state and local laws. A lot of companies just look at the federal laws, like the Fair Credit Reporting Act, but don't look at state and local laws. So that's where your attorney is going to help you to, figure out what you can do for your state and laws. And one of the big ones is Ban the Box. Ban the Box is stemmed over, I believe, 36 states and over 150 counties. So what Ban the Box laws are is it prevents you from asking about their criminal history on their application. You get to ask about their criminal history after a contingent job offer is made.
I see. Okay.
You got that?
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And every state, every county can be different. There's more and more counties that are adopting this, and, it kind of goes with the fair chance hiring laws. And it kind of goes with, so the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has the green factors, it's called. So the green factors is considering the nature of the activity on the report based on what the job is for.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so like if the job was for a driving and you had issues with driving, like you have points or you have too many accidents on your record, then it's contingent on something like that. Well, then, hey, your driver record sucks. So although we would like to offer you the job, but we can't because it pertains to specific job duties.
Right. And, you know, it can even say that you're hiring for a factory position, right? And they're going to be putting parts together and packing them. And you run a background check on them, and say 6 years ago, they were stupid and stole some hair ties from Walmart or something like that. You know, okay, so they did that. Does that really affect what they're going to do for their job? You know, so that's where, you know, you look at the nature and gravity of what the offense was during the hiring process, and take into account two of the green factors is the time that has passed since that offense has taken, you know. And then the biggest other thing is to make sure that you're following disclosures and authorizations when you're conducting a background check. So these are your signed disclosures that allow the company to run the background check on you. And a lot of people don't know that companies try to include this in the application, and they have to be standalone documents. So a lot of people just try to add that all in one, where these two disclosure and the authorization to conduct the background check have to be in standalone documents. So that's another biggest thing. And then the last one I would say is the adverse action process. So what the adverse action process is if you decide not to hire somebody based on what's come back on the report, then the applicant actually has the ability to dispute the information with the consumer reporting agency, such as myself. Yes. Wow. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's laws and regulations going on here. So with the adverse action, if a company decided not to hire them, then they kick out what's called a pre-adverse action, which basically is telling the applicants that the company's not hiring them based on the background check. They have 7 days to get a hold of the consumer reporting agency to dispute this information. And then if they don't dispute the information after 7 days, you kick out an adverse action that states that we are not hiring you based on something that's come back on your background check report. So those are the basics that you want to know when considering running background checks for your company. And being consistent with your policy, you know, especially in small businesses. If you're hiring a friend, or if you're hiring your good neighbor, you know, and you say, oh, I'm not going to do a background check on them because I know them, but then you have somebody that walks in off the street and you're going to do a background check on them. No, make sure it's consistent across the board, because if you don't, you're going to get into litigations.
Yeah, and we don't want that at all. We don't want to be sued. We don't want to have to pay fines or anything like that as a small business owner, as a small entrepreneur. I know I don't.
No. And you know, you need to watch out because they can get up in the thousands. And if you're a bigger company, you can get up in the millions.
Yeah. I'm trying to grow my company into the millions, and that's something I'm not trying to spend my millions on. I'm all about being fair anyway, and actually I would definitely hire the expert, somebody like you, to take care of, you know, these things, and actually an attorney to help me to say, hey, you know, you can't do this and you can't do that. So we have to be, you know, operate in integrity and everything. So I get it. I definitely get it. So with the background checks and drug testing, I have a question for you. So have you ever seen, no, it's fine. No. Like, have
what?
You ever, like, have you ever seen or heard of, like, what's the craziest story you heard of someone trying to beat a drug test, a background check? Like, what are some of the craziest things you've heard that people try to do to beat a background check or a drug test?
Well, so you really can't beat a background check. As far as the drug testing, oh my gosh, I follow so many of the like bigger companies on LinkedIn, and one hid a Mountain Dew bottle behind the toilet. They tried to take the actual water out of the toilet and dilute the test.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that's where our bluing tablets come in. So we have bluing tablets that you put in the toilet, so they can't do that, crazy stuff. Oh, there's tons of strap-ons for the drug testing. Yeah, you can go to the store and buy urine to pass a drug test.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that they have synthetic urine these days to be able to pass a drug test. So is that not the most effective way to do testing anymore for any illicit drugs or anything like that?
Well, you just have to be trained. We're trained to look for things, and we're trained to hear things. If somebody's in the bathroom taking a drug test and they're taking forever, like how hard is it to pee in a cup? If they're taking forever, you're going to start thinking about that, and there's certain things, we look for how the bubbles are in the urine. We look for the color, we look for the temperature. That's where a lot of people go wrong, and I shouldn't be telling people how to do this, but that's where a lot of people go wrong, is they'll try the synthetic urine, but they either have it too cold or too hot, too hot. Like, okay, your pee's not 120 degrees. I'm telling you.
Did you mic this or what?
Yeah.
Why is it so hot? Yeah, or it's cold. Like that's common sense. Like, if you think about it, your body temperature is what, 97 or 97.9 or 95.9. So your urine is not gonna come out ice cold. It's not. So that is definitely common sense to not have it cold. But
you would think you would think so.
Do whatever.
You would think so, but that happened to me. So I was doing a DOT drug test, and I had called the company to make sure the driver was going to be around and when he was going to be around. And the driver came in, and so the company called the driver and let him know that I was there, which was not an idea to do in the first place. You're not supposed to do that. And so he comes in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here to do your drug test. It was a random. And so he comes in there and comes back out, and I'm like, there's no temperature reading. And I'm like, seriously? And my husband, who's trained to do it too, actually had walked into the company, and I was like, babe, I'm like, there's no reading on this, and he's kind of freaking out, asking all kinds of questions. And I'm like, good thing you're here, because if you feel that the test is adulterated, which obviously it was because it wasn't holding temperature, then you have to go to an observed collection. So somebody actually has to go in there with the donor and make sure that they don't have anything on them. So yeah, that, and that's the thing with the synthetic, he didn't understand that he needed to get that to a certain temperature to pass the test, and was busted.
See, you gotta do things the right way. Well,
I feel if you play, then you have to pay. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, especially when you're talking about DOT, it's federally regulated. It's zero tolerance on any drug.
Absolutely.
So if you want to be a pothead, don't be in a Department of Transportation position.
Right. Don't be.
Go with a company that's okay with you smoking pot all the time, not in a federally mandated position. So.
Right, because it's legal in Michigan, but some jobs still. I mean, some companies, they don't have to accept that. They don't have to accept, using.
No. Yeah, I get a lot of questions around that too as well. Like, because, employers are saying, well, it's legal, and the companies are saying, no, but it's not our company policy.
Policy.
The company policy overrides the state laws.
Mm-hmm.
Now a lot of companies have been asking what to do, and I'm like, well, you couldn't start testing that doesn't test for marijuana, and then make sure that you have a reasonable suspicion policy in place. So if you feel that person is under the influence, then you pop them a test, but that gets confusing too. It's like, and it's hard. It's become so hard for employers to find employees because of this, because it suggested you just still maintain your zero tolerance policy, so it's a struggle. It's definitely a struggle with companies on where they're going to go with it still, continuing forward. And there's just more and more states that are legalizing it. And so it's definitely, it's a shift for companies. Yeah, it's another shift for companies, and it's another shift for drug testing agencies. So, we just take it as it comes and shift it and move forward from there. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I definitely want to follow up with you about that, because like you said, like, many states are legalizing it, and I would like to know how our employers and companies, handling that. Like, if someone wants to smoke marijuana, and they have a zero tolerance policy, or will they begin to let up on that zero tolerance policy and start to look for other avenues of testing? Like, maybe, I don't even know, we're going with a I don't know, hand-eye coordination test during this type of influence. If you're under an influence and we take this job and let's do a hand-eye coordination test, are you able to perform your jobs under the influence? Yes, no, those type of things. I don't know. Like, I'm very interested in seeing and what comes of that, because a lot of people actually, now that it's legal, a lot of people are coming out as people that use marijuana. And if you think about it, a lot of them that are coming out that is legal are using it. A lot of them they're not quote unquote potheads, like, the stigma is they're actually functioning people with functioning jobs, and even some high paying executives. So yes, I'm definitely interested in following up on that with you and seeing how, your company or the companies the companies that you work with or that you've seen, and how they adjusted to that new legalization of marijuana.
It's definitely been a struggle, people do their own things, whether it's having some drinks, whether it's smoking some pot or whatever on their off work time, and still are focused, don't come to work doing it, and
absolutely true.
Yeah, and it's so much easier to detect alcohol because of the coordination, and because of it lasts longer in your body than marijuana does. You could smoke marijuana in an hour, be just fine, where you're drinking and you're not going to be sober within that hour, so yeah, so it's we're shifting, and the police are too, when they're trying to figure out if somebody's driving intoxicated under legal marijuana now, so I feel like the government is going to have to find how to put some limitations on
Absolutely.
that, on those. I'm just not sure how that's going to become yet. So,
well, we'll see. So, Sherry, it was good having you on the show today. Please let everybody know where they can find you.
You can go to my website at www.bottomlinescreening.com. You can find me on LinkedIn under Sherry Lash. My direct number is 269-214-0697. Or you can reach me by my email, which is Sherry, Sheri, at bottomlinescreening.com.
Yes, so thank you all for tuning in to Dropping Gems with K-laine and Sherry today as my guest. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also follow me on all social media sites. It's K-laine. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. I love you guys. Bye.
Thank you. It's been fun.